to grab the value inside of the text field. So inside here, this would be Alex and this would be Garrett. So what we can go ahead and do then is actually combine it. So what I want to do is I want to say combined underscore text. Remember, this is the variable that we initiated up here. And then I want to say plus equals. So this will just add this value on every single time. We then want to go ahead and append a space on just on the end of here. So what we can do now is we can go ahead and alert, say combined underscore text. So we're looping through each input field with the type text, so using each. We're then adding the value with a space on the end onto combined text, and then we're just alerting it out so we can see what result we've got already. If I was to type Alex and Garrett and click combine, you see the result is Alex Garrett. So now what we want to go ahead and do is actually place this inside of the combined div. Remember, we created this div down here where we can display our result. And in here I use a selector combined because we're selecting by ID, and then I just simply say text combined text, and now when I refresh and enter some more data and click combine, you see this text appears down here. Now, like I said, with the each, we actually are looping through each element that has or that exists within this range of selectors. So for example, if I was to go ahead and just literally create another input field of the type text, remember that's important, I now have 3, so I can go ahead and type Alex, James, Garrett, and because we've used each to loop through every input field with the type text, because this selector still matches, we're going to loop 3 times this time. First of all with the index 0, then the index 1, then the index 2, and when we click combine, we get all the results here. So there's not really any need for using this selection method. But for example, if you wanted to go ahead and loop through all input fields to check if they were all empty, for example, you could do this for things like form validation. So for example, if you wanted to check all input fields actually had a value, you can go ahead and do this. So let's just give an example here. Let's get rid of this combined text, and let's also get rid of this combined div, and we're just going to be displaying a message out. So let's just say we want to validate each box, so all 3 of these. We want to go ahead and check that they have a value within them, so if someone has typed something. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get rid of this, and I'm going to say if and this dot val is equal to nothing, then I want to say let's just say failed equals true. And let's just go ahead and get rid of this here. Var failed equals false. So essentially what we're doing is we're setting a failed variable up here equal to false. Now that will remain false until here, unless one of these input fields is empty. So if this dot val for each field equals nothing, then failed is equal to true, or failed is assigned the value true. So now what we can do down here is we can say if failed equals true, alert fill out all fields, else if failed is equal to false, alert thanks for filling out all fields. Just as an example, hopefully you understand what we're doing. Again, I'll just run through it for those who don't. We've got var failed equal to false, so this comes into this check down here. Now for each input field, we're checking the value against nothing, and if the value, i.e. if the first value, the second value, or the third value is equal to nothing, this variable is changed to true, and therefore we have this part of the if statement executed. If it stayed at false, i.e. if all the values were full, then we execute this part of the if statement. So for example, if I click combine now, so we've got something going on wrong here. Let's just double check. Oh yeah, sorry, I've included a $sign there. That's just probably because of my PHP background. So let's go ahead and click combine. It says fill out all fields. If I go out and fill the first one and click combine, it still says fill out all fields because these two are empty, therefore the failed variable has been set to true. Let's go back and just set the second one, fill out all fields, and finally the last one, and now failed will continue to equal false because it wouldn't have, this line here wouldn't have run. When we click combine, thanks for filling out all fields. So that's just another example of how it can be useful for, say, validation purposes. You might have a lot of text fields that you want to check, and if you are doing front-end validation as opposed to back-end server-side validation, then this is a great way to do it because you are saving yourself a lot of duplicate code, a lot of nested if statements, or a lot of if-else if statements. So this is a really good way to do that. Obviously the first example was more pointless than this one, but this one is relevant, and using each is a great way to loop through different elements. And remember, this doesn't just apply to text fields, it applies to anything, checkboxes, text areas, you name it, any field, even divs for example, or spans, or paragraphs, anything, absolutely anything. So as long as you're using a selector here, it will pick up on each element that is returned by this particular selector. So that's the each function, if you like, in jQuery, and a bit about how useful it can be.